So what are the most common regrets? Well, what we know in surveys that have been done is that the most common regrets are romance, family, education, and career. So these are the kind of regrets we see in American culture, that romance is about 18% of regrets. Um, but people also differ in terms of the regrets about their college majors. So we know that in uh, in America that your income after you graduate is very much related to your major in college. So if you major in philosophy or sociology or education, whatever, your first job, you're not going to make that much money. But if you major in engineering or computer science and information science or math or health, you're going to have a better option in terms of income. And so we can see that directly, that about 50% of graduates who majored in humanities and arts regret that major a year after graduating, whereas in engineering, the regret is about 22%. So regrets are related to your major. There have been historical changes in regret. So in our culture, uh, in in America, in the European Union, and the United Kingdom, competitiveness and the emphasis on merit and achievement is a big factor. You know, we think we should be achieving a lot and making a lot of money, having a lot of success. Um, does this lead to more regret? Well, since 1980, there's been an increase in globalization, so free trade throughout the world. There's been a dramatic increase in economic inequality, the very rich or the poor, and many people feeling marginalized, feeling left out. So what's happened in terms of regret? So there's a way in which we can measure inequality. It's called the Gini index, and you can see that the Gini index has increased substantially since 1968 to 2012, and increased since then. So there's been an increase of inequality. So people think, oh my God, I'm not doing as well as these rich people on the yachts and the private jets. But you also have had an increase in the use of the word regret in published literature. So there's a search engine called Google Ngram, and they search in Google Books and anything published in the English language that's been codified. So between 1800 and 2019, but if you look at regret, has been a tremendous increase in mentioning regret since the 1980s. That's a period of increased inequality, globalization, and competitiveness. And you have the same thing in Russia, Russian language. Under the czars, you either were from the upper class or you were from the lower class. But with the fall of communism, there was a sense of increased opportunity for a while, and then there was an increase of regret. There's also, interestingly, an increase of perfectionism in between 1980 and 2019. So we can see these increase of inequality, regret, the opportunity. And we can also see that the more time that people spend on social media, the more depressed they get. And so social media can be a source of social comparison. How am I doing compared to other people? Perfectionism has increased between 1989 and 2016 by 33%. So people often think that people who are transitioning and gender affirming surgery are going to have a lot of regrets, but the research shows the opposite. 1% of people who get gender affirming surgery, transgender, only 1% claim they regret it. In fact, there are much higher regrets for cosmetic surgery, getting plastic surgery on your face, disclosing HIV status. A lot of people think if I tell people I'm HIV positive, I'll regret it. Only 4.6% of people who disclose HIV status regret. Children who express regret between the ages of 4 and 7 years of age are better at making decisions and better at regulating their emotions. In adolescence, 32% of girls and 27% of boys express regret about having sex too early. So we have developmental changes, we have cultural changes, we have historical changes, we have content changes and regret. Older people have a positivity bias. They look at the brighter side of things. They're more skilled at predicting emotions and therefore in regulating their emotions. They may have more long-term regrets, but in daily life, they focus on the here and now and on getting on with things, and they disengage, pull back, almost like a mindfulness thing. What are the regrets that investors have? Not saving enough for retirement, not putting money into stocks, taking a job only for the money, not quitting a job earlier, and not starting their own business. So these are some of the regrets that we see with people investment in business.